Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome to the review of Tim Tszyu being knocked out in the third round in his challenge for the IBF 154 pound title against Bakhram Murtazaliev. Probably a little bit like all you out there at the moment, a little bit shell shocked about what I've seen, or what I watched, I should say. I'm sort of trying to get my head around the whole thing, and I suppose the first thing that comes to mind, and probably a lot of people's minds out there that's either doing these types of videos or watching or whatever it might be, is that was it a matter of Murtazaliev being better than what we thought, or Tim maybe not being as good as we thought? So I mean, it's only about not even an hour after the fight, so it's all still sort of swirling around in my head, but. Yeah, look, it was tough to handle. It really was. I did the watch along, and it's hard when you do a watch along because you're trying to describe what's happening to people and trying to keep your emotions in check and everything. But when Tim went down, I was like, wow, am I really seeing this? And look, credit to Murtazaliev. I thought he was great, but. Yeah, as I said, it's a little bit hard to get your head around at the moment. But look, the whole fight itself, I thought Tim started okay. I thought that for the first probably minute and a half, I thought he controlled the action. Murtazaliev, to be fair to, didn't really engage too much, which is probably a little the opposite of what I thought he would do. I thought he'd actually come out and have a real crack at Tim early, but they'd obviously done their homework. They'd obviously come with a game plan, and I thought, in hindsight, it was actually a good thing because he had a really good look at Tim. He was more on the toes even, which is something I certainly didn't think I would see, but on the toes, poking out the jab, head and body, not really looking to engage too much, and really, as I said, getting a look at Tim. Tim looked a little bit uneasy early, but I thought he looked comfortable. He looked comfortable, but he hadn't really worn a shot by then either. But he took centre ring. He was walking Murtazaliev down, but again, Murtazaliev didn't really do anything until probably about the 2 minute mark of the round, where I thought he really stepped it up. He caught Tim coming in a couple of times with some really sharp punches. Tim landed a couple of punches as well. Let's not forget that. But I thought in the last minute that Murtazaliev really picked up the pace. Really, I think he saw for the first time that Tim was vulnerable to his punches. He landed a couple of good right hands. It was obviously ultimately the left hook that got the job done, but he landed a couple of early shots. You could just see the confidence in Murtazaliev just start to improve a little bit or increase. And I thought he finished the round off well, and probably in the last sort of 20 to 25 seconds. And I thought he stole that first round. And there was probably no sign of really what was to come, was there? Because I thought, it's a feeling out round. That first round could have gone either way, and whether it was Tim's round, it was Murtazaliev's round, whatever, it didn't really matter. I thought it was just a good round, a good feeling out round. I was pretty happy with the round from Tim. I just thought, the first round's always the hardest when you're trying to get a look at a guy and the pressure's on and a lot of build up to the fight. And most of the time, most of the nerves and apprehension is in the lead up to the fight. When the actual bell rings, you almost relax and go into your natural instincts of being a fighter. And even though I gave Murtazaliev the first round, I thought it was close. And as I said, I was actually quite comfortable with what Tim had done. What I wasn't happy about, though, he did wear a couple of solid shots in the back end of the round. And it was like, is it just those opening round nerves, or is this going to be a thing, a sign of things to come? And unfortunately, it was a sign of things to come, wasn't it? Because in the second round, wow, that first left hook, and I think we'd spoken about it in the lead up to the fight, that a lot of people had actually mentioned it as well, and I think I'd mentioned it, that Murtazaliev has a really good check left hook. He throws it a little bit awkward, but it's like a whip, how quickly and hard he throws it. And Tim coming forward just had no idea what was coming for him. He got caught cold. I think he might have even, I haven't seen the replay or the full replay yet, but I'm pretty sure that Tim might have come in. He might have even went to throw a right hand, or he come in with a right hand low anyway, and Murtazaliev's just come on the inside with that snapping left hook and just hit him right on the button, and Tim obviously didn't see it coming, and in hindsight he didn't recover Actually, one thing I'll go back in a sec. I'll go over the fight first, but then he got up and I was thinking, wow, that was a big shot. That was a big shot. And the worst ones are the ones you don't see coming, and it hit him right on the button, on the jaw. And I wasn't quite sure what to expect. And down he went again, and he was getting rocked. And I think I was saying it through the stream, hold, clinch, do something. But he stood with Murtazaliev. He tried to punch with him and paid the penalty again when he went down again for the third time at the end of the second round. And now I must have missed something, because I thought world title fights these days, most of them or all of them are 3 knockdown rules. Obviously that didn't apply. I don't know whether it was an IBF thing or a Florida thing. I don't know. Well, obviously it would have been an IBF thing. So I've obviously got that wrong, but I thought the fight was over right there and then. And the way that Tim really was unsteady on his legs going back to the round, he really had problems walking. If you watch his legs sort of buckled underneath him, and it was probably at that point that we thought maybe the writing was on the wall, although I'm sure we were hoping that Tim might be able to regroup. But I think looking at it at the time, it was more wishful thinking. I remember thinking, he's gone. But I mean, to start the third round, firstly I'll say that he got inspected by the doctor, which I couldn't believe. I mean, you've got a guy on the other side of the ring I was on the verge of a knockout win, and they get up to start the third round, and he's obviously ready to go, and the doctor decides to inject himself into the fight and holds proceedings up. Now, I don't know why they didn't do it during the round. I mean, that's what it's for. I understand sometimes, I'm not sure whether the rules have changed, where they've got to allow the corner to do the thing between rounds, and then at the start of the round they can inspect the cut or inspect his well-being, whatever it might be. But he had the flashlight out in his eyes and made him walk left and right, all that sort of stuff. And I was thinking, geez, if I was Murtazaliev's camp, I'd be just spewing at that he's been given an extra 30 or 40 seconds to recover. I mean, it didn't end up making any difference at all, did it? But I remember thinking, geez, I wouldn't be happy if I was their camp. But anyway, the round started, and I thought for the first bit that Tim might have actually got his legs back. He definitely looked a little bit unsteady, but as a surprise, Murtazaliev didn't really go after him straight away, which is probably a good thing, as sometimes you can run into a punch here or there. And I thought he was very controlled to start the round, but I thought the fact that Tim was coming forward, he looked a little more steady on his feet, looked a little bit more comfortable, and he might even landed a shot or two. But I remember also thinking, geez, why wouldn't his corner have told him between rounds to take the round off, give the round away? Move, jab, get on the back foot, hold if he gets close, just take a round to try and get your faculties back. Exactly what I said when Nikita Tszyu fought his last fight against Colin Mazzutia. Take a round off, who cares, give the round away. But he insisted on coming forward, and as I said, he actually didn't land a couple of shots, but Murtazaliev, you could just see, was taking his time, and then nailed him again, and that left hook in the third round. It should have been pretty much all over and done with then. I would have thought that, I know it's easy again in hindsight, that at first knockdown of the third round, the towel should have come straight in then. I think the corner would have been easily able to see that he wasn't himself in the corner. He was obviously rocked, and it's very hard to come back from that. Very, very hard. And he was dropped, and I can't believe that when he got up and he was so unsteady on his leg, he looked glassy-eyed, trouble keeping his balance, trouble even keeping his hands up. I cannot believe the referee didn't stop the fight then. I know he did say, give me more or else I'm going to stop it. Well, mate, the job's done by then. He's not recovering from that. Again, I would have thought the corner would have thrown in the towel. And then he had another barrage, and then finally I think it was a bit of both. The towel did come in, but I think the referee was in the midst of actually stopping the fight. But I think he took more punches than what he needed to take, really, if I'm being honest. But look, it wasn't going to change the result at all. Just a dominant performance by Bakram Murtazaliev, and Tim, understandably, after the fight was shattered. I think like the rest of us, just absolutely shell-shocked about what had happened. Credit to him, he did speak after the fight. I think he would have been still in a little bit of la land at that stage, but again, credit to him for actually being interviewed in the ring. He would have felt like the world was coming crashing around him. The corner was obviously distraught, but I've seen I quickly checked a few comments and videos, and just to get a bit of a vibe on what people's thoughts were, and immediately the Australian media, as much as they've got their heads up their asses, I knew it was coming, was straight away with, well, it was the weight cut, it was the second day weigh-in, it was the bump in the first round. If you saw that in the first round as well, it was a little bit of a collision of heads. And I know that they're saying, did he really recover after that? He looked different after that. I don't think so. I just think he was just very, very aware and conscious of the cut on his, or what happened in the Fundora fight. And I think the immediate thoughts that would have went through his head was, no, please, not again. And they collided heads, and you can just see he looked at his glove, and I think he would have got the head clash just wasn't enough to warrant any concussion symptoms or anything like that. I wouldn't have thought, but understandably, it did sort of maybe rattle him for 5 or 10 seconds until he realised there was no blood, and away he went. I just think, at the end of the day, guys, you can come out with as many excuses as they want. It comes down to one thing, and that's Bahram Murtazaliev. His left hook got it done. He finished the job like an elite fighter should. And no matter how much we sugarcoat it, absolutely took Tim Tszyu apart. And this is not a close decision loss. It's not the controversial loss that we got with Fundora. This is a blowout. This is an absolute annihilation. And, we talk about levels in the sport. The question has to be asked. I said it during the broadcast as well. I mean, we all got stuck into Michael Zarafa when he got wiped out by Erizan Lara. Does Tim Tszyu get the same treatment? I'm not sure. And I think actually Lara's a better fighter than Murtazaliev, if I'm being honest. But all that aside, the whole Zarafa Tszyu thing, let's forget about that for the time being. But it just come down to Murtazaliev with his left hook. Fought a great fight, and as I said, it's a matter of Murtazaliev being a lot better than what we thought he was, which I think is the case. But the other flip side, is Tim as good as what we thought? Now, I don't know, I don't want to lay the boots in straight after the fight, but the question has to be asked. It has to be asked. I see there's already talk about, or suggestions from fans making comments online, everything. I know, I take them with a grain of salt, if I'm being honest. A lot of armchair experts out there, but the question came up about a new team. Maybe the question's got to be asked, I don't know. And without upsetting anyone in Team Tszyu, I mean, in my opinion, I think maybe the question has to be asked of Uncle Igor, the trainer. Because if you look at the rest of the team, I don't think No Limit could have done any more than they've done with Tim Tszyu. I think they've done a fantastic job getting him to where he is now with the decisions they've made. I think Glenn Jennings has been great as well. Look, let's face it. The Fundora fight maybe wasn't managed the way we all maybe thought it should have been, and the rematch clauses, all that sort of stuff, and maybe today, but it wasn't their fault that Tim got hit with a left hook and knocked down and knocked out. So I don't really blame that, but I mean, I look at the flaws in both the boys, and I'll ask the question, up until now, has it been the Tszyu boys making Igor look good, or has it been Igor making the Tszyu boys look good? I think it's the former. I think the Tszyu boys have made Igor look good with the opposition they've fought and the wins they've had. But, I've been critical of Nikita on here before about his lack of defensive ability and when he's hurt and under duress, how he reacts. And I also said that, he needs to take a leaf out of Brother Tim's book, who seems always nice, cool, calm, collected, and doesn't make the same mistakes. Well, unfortunately today, he did make those same mistakes. When he was hurt, he had no defensive ability whatsoever, no prowess, no, we call it the IQ, whatever you might want to call it, but didn't clinch, didn't hold, didn't move. As I said in the live, wrestle if you have to. Make the referee break you up, get the extra 30 seconds or 10 seconds here or 10 seconds there, whatever it might be, and force the referee to break you up. And if he takes a point, well, so be it. But to try and fight back, like Nikita does as well, to try and fight back when hurt or under duress, and they get in even more trouble. And, you know, I'll make no qualms to say that, you know, that's eventually what... I mean, he got caught. A lot of fighters get caught and they get dropped, and he was hurt. But it's what happened after that. You know, to not have the ability to hold or clinch or move or jab and move for a whole round, stay away, try and get your faculties back. But no, he went after Murtazaliev, tried to walk him down, and lights out all over. And unfortunately, again, I don't want to lay the boots in so soon after the fight, but it comes down to training and game plan and teaching the fighters. I mean, it's all good to be catching 20-cent pieces and all that on, you know, on rules or whatever that they do, and all the reflex exercises and all that sort of stuff, but I haven't seen anything about improving defensive skills and what to do when you're under pressure, or you're hurt or tired, whatever it might be. I didn't see any of that. All I saw was a fighter who was very, very badly hurt and shaken and rocked and groggy, not have the ability to be able to regroup and reassess and use whatever tactics it took to give himself time to get back into the fight. So I know it's easy just to point fingers at everyone, but that's, for me, that's reality. And, you know, and even when it comes to Tim, I mean, earlier in the week, you know, I mean, I know the announcement was made that he's moving to Vegas to better his career, and that's great. I mean, it was welcomed. I think it was a great idea. But on the other side, we're talking about five fighter hit lists, and, you know, we want Charlo, and then we want Crawford, and then we want Spence, and then we want Canelo. I mean, where does it end? You know, and I sort of blame the promoters a little bit and especially the Australian media for just, well, I blame sort of the No Limit and whoever for putting this stuff out there, because the Australian media, as gullible and uneducated as they are, will just run with it. So it gets everyone hyped up about maybe where Tim sort of stands or stood in the scheme of things. You know, if you believe the Australian media here, you know, Tim was going to beat you know, Crawford, Canelo and Alexander Usyk next year, you know, and then he would go on and, you know, be a 10 weight world champion. This is what that sort of stuff does. And I just think it's created maybe some unrealistic views on Tim and where he's at. And look, I'm a massive fan of Tim, and this is not really aimed at him. I mean, he's the one in there fighting. It's probably more of a spin around Tim, whether it be the promoters or the Australian media, maybe build him up to maybe be something he's just not ready to be just yet. And today is obvious, he's not at the level. I mean, as much as we want to break it down and talk about it and, you know, put a spin on things, they say in the sport there is such a thing as levels. We all say it over and over again. Well, today, unfortunately, Tim proved at this stage that he's not at the level, and the big question comes, can he get to the level? And I mean, today was a devastating loss for him and a devastating blow to his career. Now, I really hope he can pick himself up and dust himself off and, you know, come back and do his thing. But I mean, I'm just being a realist that maybe the questions have got to be asked that, has he got what it takes to be at the level? And time will tell. I think the main thing at the moment is he's okay. That's the main thing. And I know they're going to be talking about Zerafa fights and all the rest of it. I mean, again, getting on earlier in the week, I mean, this is not Tim, by the way. This is everyone around, the media and promoters and hangers-on or whatever it might be. But, you know, he's going to, once Murtazaliev's sort of done with, and they sort of give him no respect whatsoever. Not Tim I'm talking about again, but all those involved with media and around him. Once Murtazaliev's done, that, you know, we'll, you know, this won't be a tough fight, so we'll back up in December. We'll do a stadium fight here and do that, and then we'll win that one easy, and then we'll go to Vegas in February and do the NRL thing, and then we'll look at Crawford, and then we'll look at such and such. And as I said, I just think everyone maybe just got a little bit ahead of themselves, and I don't know whether some of that rubbed off on Tim. I don't know, but he sort of fought today like, oh, I don't even know how he fought today, to be honest. It's still sort of going around in my head, but yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow for Aussie boxing fans, and I'm just, you know, imagining what's going through Tim's head at this stage. I mean, when you think about it, you know, 1 minute he's going to Vegas to live, and, you know, the other side of the world, and base himself over there and give himself the best possible chance he can to fight you know, the Crawfords and Spencers and you know, those types of fighters of the world, and all of a sudden now he's at the bottom of the pack, bottom of the heap, with no prospects whatsoever. And the question is asked now, or asked, is where he goes to. And I would think, have a good rest, forget about this December stuff and the February stuff, maybe come back mid next year if I was him, and just almost reboot your whole career if that's what he wants to do. I think he will. I think he's invested in the sport too much now and everything, that he'll want to come back, and he's got that warrior mentality, and that's fine. But I would think take off till middle of next year and start afresh. Forget about the Zarafa carrot being dangled out to fight here back in Australia, all that shit. Don't worry about that. Block it all out, and maybe just start anew. Maybe it's not even in Australia to start building. Maybe it's to get away from the pressures of Australia and the you know, the ridiculous demands and expectations they put on him here, and the way they pump him up with not real much, and with not a lot of you know, information to go behind it or research behind it. So I would say maybe go to America, base yourself there, get on some undercards over there, go to some of the fights in America. There's plenty of big fights getting around. Jump on the undercard of those fights and try and build yourself up where there's no expectations, there's no spotlight on you, you're just a fighter who's starting again, and just start afresh and get back to being a hungry fighter, and you know, and just get maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4 wins under your belt next year against lesser lights. I'll make that. No, I don't think you should go anywhere near top 10 or even top 15 guys. Just get some journeymen, have 3 or 4 fights next year, get yourself back and back amongst it, and then maybe reload from there. But I think that's probably the best case scenario for Tim at the moment, unfortunately. And there's lots of soul searching that it has to be taken. I mean, we call him the soul taker. Well, maybe he's got to do some soul searching. The whole team does, and reassess where they're at and what they want to achieve and what's realistic and what's not. So I want to make clear, though, that first and foremost, I mean, it probably sounds like I'm kicking a guy while he's down. It's nothing like that. It's just being realistic. And, you know, and I'm a massive fan of Tim. I think he's got all the ability in the world. But we have to look at things at the way they are, and the facts are he was totally demolished on the big stage in three rounds, under 3 rounds, by a guy that wasn't really in the conversation of being, you know, as far as that upper echelon of 154 pounders go. That's going to change now, by the way, because no doubt there'll be a lot of fighters will be looking for a shot at that IBF belt, and all of a sudden does the Fundoras and Crawfords and Ortizes of the world start looking his way. So we'll see. Just quickly on the undercard, the Matteo Tapia fight with Andy Saavedra, I thought it was an absolute gift to get a draw. I thought Saavedra won easily. I thought he won 6 rounds to 4 rounds wise, and what was it, 1 knockdown to 3 the other way. I had him winning by, I think it was 4 points or 5 points, whatever it was. I just thought Matteo Tapia, credit to him, by the way, full respect to him for what he did, the heart he showed. He could have easily been out of there when he was dropped for the second time, no questions asked, but he got up, took a deep breath, bit down on his mouthpiece and got himself back into the fight. So full credit to Matteo Tapia, but I don't think he went anywhere near drawing the fight, let alone winning the fight. I think one of the judges had him winning by 2 points and the other 2 had it a draw. So don't agree with it at all. And that's with my Aussie hat on. Obviously wanted him to win, but there's no way that was a draw, purely and solely. I thought that, as I said, 6 rounds to 4 for Saavedra and an extra 2 points, 3 knockdowns versus 1. So I had him winning, I would make him winning by 4 points on my card. So anyway, that was just my opinion. I don't really care about that one at the moment. I'm being honest. I'm just trying to reflect a bit more on the Tim Tszyu situation. So anyway, we'll talk more about it. Excuse me. Talk more about it on, of course, Walking Boxing this week, and Talking Boxing on the Monday night, and then on the Deep Dive show on Thursday as well. But a very, very difficult pill to swallow, like I'm sure it is for a lot of you out there. But we have to be realists, and we have to take our licks, as they say, and that's probably more none more relevant than it is for Tim Tszyu at the moment. So the main thing is he's okay. I'm sure he'll be fine, and he'll hopefully live to fight another day and regroup. So guys, let me know your thoughts. What did you think of the fight? Have I missed anything? Where do we go from here? That's the big question. So anyway, guys, have a good day, and we'll catch you later.